Wave 2 of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has just been released, and I've enjoyed playing it a lot. In my opinion, it is a significant improvement on the first wave, and I think it would be fun to do a video ranking every Wave 2 track. I will also be giving them a star rating from 1 to 10 stars. So with that being said, let's jump straight into it. Not gonna lie, this track kinda sucks. It's nearly the exact same as it was in Mario Kart Wii. Oops, I made a typing error. I meant exactly the same as it was in Mario Kart Wii. So let me describe the track for you real quick. You turn right, then proceed to make a left turn. Following this, you turn right, then go even further to the right. Following this is a hard left turn, and then a right turn. After this, you make a left turn, then a right turn. After this, you are done with the track and may proceed to the next lap. In all seriousness, the track is very boring. The only interesting track design here are a few oil slicks, and a single boost panel at the end of the track. That's literally it. The only change in this version of the tracks, there are now cones near the oil slicks nobody would ever hit. The only thing I find remotely cool about this track is there's a cool corner cut you can do on 200cc, and apparently 150cc, I'm learning at the time of scripting this, that skips the harsh 180-degree turn. That's literally the only thing good I can say about it. It can be fun to drive on, but overall it's extremely boring. I give this track 3.5 stars. This is the only new track in this wave, and also the first track to come to the booster course pass that is completely new. I had high expectations for this track, as it is the first track in the booster course pass to have anti-gravity, but honestly, I was a bit disappointed by this one. But let's run through the layout real quick. The track starts with you going off of a glider ramp, where you can trick inside of an ice cream cone if you want to gain an extra bit of speed. Once you land, you get to go down some quick stairs and learn about the gimmick of this track, the low gravity. You see, when they made Mute City and Big Blue in this game, they decided to give them low gravity, giving the tracks a lot more shortcut potential. And for some reason they did that with this track also. Anyways, while going up and down the stairs, you might realize the railings act the exact same as the anti-gravity boosters, which I find to be a bit weird. And I would rather just have them be actual anti-gravity boosters, but I guess this works. After this, you go into a split path, and after driving up a steep slope, you make a blind jump. However, you have multiple large areas you can land on, so unless you're stupid, you likely won't fall off. Preceding this is some more split paths, where you get the option to either jump between platforms or jump to the bottom to get some coins in an item box. Now all that's left is a few more tricks, turning across some ice cream scoops, even more tricks, and then you're on lap 2. So why does this track rank so low? Even though it seems like I said a lot, it's really a pretty basic track. In fact, look at the minimap, it's basically just a glorified 6-site bike arena. However, there is one redeeming part of this track that makes me enjoy it a lot more: this shortcut. This shortcut is actually surprisingly easy, as it's up to you where you want to start the jump, potentially making it even easier. It's a very fun shortcut, and for that I do have to bump up the track a bit, but it still isn't amazing. I give this one 6 stars. Okay, from here on out, I really enjoyed every single track a lot. This track is actually really solid despite it being number 6. The first lap is similar to normal Calamari Desert, which is honestly pretty bland with all things considered, but let me cover it anyways. The track starts off with you going through the desert and gives you the option to make a glider shortcut. If you don't take the glider shortcut, there's a ramp for you to trick off of. But after this, the track introduces its gimmick, the train. Basically, there's a train on a different track on this course that follows you throughout lap 1. The game then offers you another glider shortcut, which I like to take shroomless, but I think it's slower, and then another time of passing the train. The rest of lap 1 is pretty boring. There are a few more turns and trick ramps, but nothing special. The first half of lap 2 is the same as lap 1, but once you get to your second time passing the train tracks, you see a trick ramp from Mario Kart Tour. But once you jump off of the trick ramp, you land on a train path. This is a really cool idea. It was shown in the trailer, but I don't think most people noticed. They did a similar thing to the Tour City tracks here because they made a track called Calamari Desert 2 in Tour where you drive on the train tracks. The rest of lap 2 ends the same way as lap 1 except with the added bonus of being terrified of the train attacking you. Lap 3 starts in the train track area, and as soon as you get to the first train encounter you see on lap 1, it gives you the option to drive the rest of the lap the same way as lap 1 or continue on the train tracks until reaching the second train encounter and driving the rest of the way the same as lap 1. I really enjoyed the track. Exploring the insides of the train tracks is something people have always wanted to do, and it's exciting to finally get to see the inside of the train tracks. The only reason this track isn't even higher on the list is just simply because the others have a bit more going for them in my opinion. Either way, this track gets 8 out of 10 stars for me. Next up we have Tour New York Minute. This is the first of 2 Tour City tracks on this list. If you didn't know, this Tour City tracks have a gimmick similar to the ones we saw at Calamari Desert, where the paths change every lap, but way more extreme here. So let's see how this track does. The track starts in Times Square and has you driving through Central Park. However, there's a really disappointing moment in Central Park where it looks like you can take an easy mushroom cut, but then you do it and Lakitu picks you up, which I consider to be really lame. The track loses a few points for that. After this, you have a straightaway while giving you the option to take a shortcut to take the turn a bit earlier, which is almost definitely faster shroomless. Following this is a split path where you either go straight after taking the shortcut then go left to the main path, or stay to the left and take a glider ramp. Taking the glider also allows you to land on a truck and get a double item box. After this, you take a few more right turns, avoid a few parked taxis, and you're on to lap 2. Lap 2 starts with you turning left instead of right at the start, and then you get to once more drive through Central Park, but this time backwards. Once you get out of Central Park, you once again reach the split path and finish lap 2 the same way as you finished lap 1. In lap 3, you go left at the start point, but instead of going into Central Park, you turn right to where you took the shortcut on lap 1. But this time you can't go on the left split path as it forces you to take the right path. This is because after this, it takes you into Rockefeller Center. You take a few right turns through some red carpet, then you go through a tunnel where the Statue of Liberty is visible before looping back around to Times Square and completing the track. I really enjoy how well the different laps were used here, as everything fit into a small area. I mean seriously, look at the minimap here, it's pretty small for having 3 completely different laps. Overall, this is a very good track, with the only disappointment being not being able to do the mushroom cut in Central Park. I give this track another 8 out of 10 star rating. Okay, hear me out. I know Waluigi Pinball isn't number 1, but at least give me a chance to explain. The track starts out launching you through a cannon while seeing the flashy lights of Waluigi's pinball machine. Then you go through a quick turn with some boost panels on the side and make a jump to a green area, closely followed by a ramp to a blue area similar to this. Now don't get me wrong, this is a very basic section with a few boost panels along the way, but I actually really enjoyed this section. Why? Well, there are very tight corners, similar to playing Rainbow Road on 200cc. And it's more difficult than tracks like the previously mentioned Mario Circuit 3 because it actually has elevation changes, so it's a lot harder to master the turns for me. And the difficulty of the turns is also different from a track like Neo Bowser City because the track isn't slippery here. But there is one more thing that gets introduced to you during this part of the track. That is, of course, the pinballs themselves. They can be very hard to avoid sometimes, and other times the pinballs could be hunting you down. Like seriously, look at this clip I recorded earlier today. Like that pinball wanted to kill me. This of course takes you to the main attraction of the track, the pinball machine. There are bumpers throughout this entire section. Some don't move, some do. And this is where the pinballs really start to get chaotic as they bounce all throughout the entire section. There are also flippers towards the end of this section that can sometimes hit you and spin you out. This part of the track is extremely chaotic and is easily the highlight of the track. After this, you take a few more simple turns and move on to the next lap. My only problem with this track is that the literal only gameplay change with the track was that the rotating bumpers go slightly faster. But that's fine, I guess. No need to fix what isn't broken. I give this track 8.5 stars out of 10. This actually wasn't supposed to be the track I was going to talk about right now, but I randomly had an opinion change mid-script, so here we are now. The track starts off with a grass cut to your right, but since it's so early in the track, there's nothing that you can do with it right now. However, keep that in mind for later. You take 2 quick turns before entering the Sydney Opera House, which has nothing crazy in terms of track design. After this, the game takes you on a glider ramp. Once you land, you take a turn while looking at some of the attractions on Luna Park, ending you on the highway. This is a really interesting section, as now you get to drive through the area with lots of trickable ramps in reverse. After this, you take a few more simple turns and move on to lap 2. But of course, since this is a city tour track, it changes every lap. The lap starts with you going to the left, similar to lap 2 of New York Minute. Following this is the track quickly taking you through a ferry before another turn and taking you through a fake shortcut. This one is actually excusable, unlike Excite Bike Arena. Unlike New York Minute. I was just stupid and didn't realize it was clearly blocked off. After this is the track driving you through Barangaroo Reserve while offering you multiple mushroom shortcuts along the way. After this, you get to drive through the highway again, but this time from the opposite side, allowing you to actually use the boost ramps. After this, you take a right to another grass cut opportunity with a really cool shroomless cut. After another ramp can be used as yet another shroomless shortcut, you are able to move on to lap 3, but not before getting to take the shortcut you saw at the beginning of lap 1, but backwards. Lap 3 is the same as lap 1 but backwards, which is more interesting than you might think. This is because you can actually use the highway ramps again in this lap, as well as giving you the opportunity to go through the Opera House once again. Overall, this track is great. All 3 laps have great track design, but lap 2 is the clear winner here. But I love all the shortcuts in this track, and it's just enough to earn an S tier for me. 9 stars out of 10. Nintendo did it again. They revived another GBA track from the grave. But not only did they revive the track, they made it one of the best tracks in the entire game. In fact, I was originally going to put this track at number 1, but I recently changed my mind. And that's not from this track being bad either, but more from me loving the number 1 track even more. Anyways, that's enough rambling, let's get into the track design. The track starts off with some simple turns while realizing how much better this track looks than any of the other Wave 1 tracks. But coming up on long straightaway is what is, in my opinion, one of the coolest shortcuts in the entire game. I can't even explain it, just watch it. So yeah, that's a thing. Oh, and by the way, this is an intended shortcut. The 200cc staff ghosts do the shortcut. This is a side note, but I'm extremely happy Nintendo is starting to include more insane shortcuts into their tracks, as in my opinion, it makes them way more fun. Anyways, back to the track design. After either taking the shortcut or taking the turn wide, you'll end up in an ice section at the bottom of the track. This is kinda similar to the original version on GBA, but since this track is so drastically different here, this is a really cool part of the track. You can also trick off the sides of the ice, which is cool. After going back into the snowy road, you have a straightaway and 2 turns left, but there are still 2 more shortcuts you need to do to end off the track. The first one is a simple mushroom cut, similar to what we saw in Mario Circuit 3. But the other one is a much cooler ramp shortcut. The shortcut is slower, shroomless, but I don't care what you guys say. I'm gonna do it shroomless anyways because it's more fun. In the end, yes, this track is basic, but it's extremely fun nonetheless. But we need to add it onto the list of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe GBA Remake Hall of Fame. And honestly, it's very close between this track and Ribbon Road, but I prefer this one by a slight amount. 9.5 stars out of 10. Oh yeah, it's the iconic Mushroom Gorge. I was hoping for a great track here after the disappointment that was Coconut Mall, and they definitely delivered with this track. The track starts off with a straightaway and a simple turn, but also gives you the option to take a mushroom shortcut to the left. In case the extra long straightaway is boring for you, it is now possible to do that shortcut shroomless, but it's somewhat difficult. Also, I believe if you do it shroomless it's slightly slower, but I'm not positive about that. After that, the track forces us to jump off of a ramp followed by our first mandatory mushroom bounce. I like how it starts off simple, because it takes a little bit to get used to the controls of the mushrooms. After this, you have the option to go left or right. The left offers you a safe path with a few boost panels, but it's way more indirect. But the much faster, but more risky path includes you bouncing on another mushroom, while also introducing you to the green mushrooms, which you can drive on normally. You can also do some pretty crazy mushroom bouncing shenanigans here, but that's nothing crazy. After this, you take a turn into a cave and you have an entire section full of mushrooms. You have the left side, which is slower and more difficult, so there's kinda no reason to go over there. But the fastest and easiest path is to the right, and there are also some more crazy mushroom shenanigans in this section. There's also a glider mushroom here, giving homage to the Mario Kart 7 version, which I appreciate to the people that enjoyed this version of the track more. But after this part, we have an insane shortcut. It's also one of the most iconic shortcuts in the entire Mario Kart series. The gap jump is back. See, this is really what I love to see about the Booster Course Pass tracks. If this was a track included with the original 48 tracks, I guarantee that Lakitu would pick you up for attempting this shortcut. And just think of how disappointing that would be. But the gap jump is back and just as fun and difficult as ever. I know this isn't the most significant thing in the world, but finding out that the gap jump was possible was easily the best moment I've had on my first time playing the Wave 2 tracks. This track is a masterpiece, and I'm so happy to find out it's just as fun and amazing as it's always been. This track gets 9.5 stars out of 10. Well, there we have it, my ranking of all 8 new tracks we got in this wave. Overall, this wave is definitely way better than Wave 1 in my opinion, and I don't even think it was really that close. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.